Welcome to AI in 8 minutes or less, your daily AI update. Today, we're diving into a really fascinating project that sits right at the intersection of AI and crypto, Bittensor. It's got some absolutely huge ambitions, and we're going to break down exactly what you need to know.
Yeah, that quote right there pretty much says it all, doesn't it? The ambition here is just massive. We're not talking about some small improvement to AI. We're talking about a complete, fundamental shift in how artificial intelligence is created, controlled, and shared. So, let's unpack what that really means. So, here's our game plan. First, we'll get our heads around the big idea, what decentralizing AI even is. Then, we'll look under the hood at how the network actually functions. After that, we'll see it in action with a really powerful real-world example, understand the value that creates, and then wrap it all up with a final look at the risks and the rewards. All right, let's dig in. To really get what Bittensor is trying to do, you first have to understand the core problem it's designed to solve. Because right now, there is a major battle brewing over who gets to control the future of intelligence itself. So on one side, you have the world we live in now, centralized AI. Think of it like proprietary software from back in the day, where just a few huge companies control everything inside a closed box. But on the other side, you have Bittensor's vision. This is more like open source software, like Linux. It's an open, permissionless network where anyone can contribute and the best ideas win. It's a true, competitive marketplace for intelligence. Okay, so that's the grand vision, but how does this thing actually work? What's the engine that makes it all go? Well, it's this beautifully simple four-step loop. First, you have miners, and these aren't your typical crypto miners. They're just people or teams building AI models, and they submit their work to the network. Then, all those models compete against each other to give the best, most accurate answers. Third, you have independent validators who are constantly scoring and ranking how well all of those models are doing. And finally, the best-performing models get rewarded with the network's token, TAO. And that's the magic. It creates this constant, relentless, competitive pressure to always get better. Okay, so that's all a bit abstract, right? A competitive network for intelligence. What does that even mean in the real world? Well, let's make it tangible. We're going to look at a specific project built on Bittensor called Resi, which is tackling a truly enormous industry. And when I say enormous, I am not kidding. We're talking about the global real estate market, estimated to be worth around $300 trillion. Just let that number sink in. The scale is almost impossible to wrap your head around. But here's the thing, there's this huge roadblock that's keeping this massive market from really moving into the digital age. You hear a lot of talk about tokenizing real estate, but that whole idea completely falls apart if you don't have pricing data that everyone can trust. If you can't agree on what a property is worth, you can't lend against it, you can't trade it efficiently, you can't do anything. And this isn't some theoretical problem. Just look at Zillow. They reportedly lost nearly $1 billion because their own internal centralized pricing models were just flat out wrong. That's how high the stakes are when it comes to getting this valuation right. And this is where Resi comes in. It's what's called a subnet on Bittensor. You can just think of it as a specialized marketplace dedicated to one specific job. And Resi's job is to become the trusted oracle for real estate values. It uses that same competitive loop we just talked about, but applies it just to this one problem: getting AI models to compete to produce the most accurate property valuations on Earth. So let's say Resi pulls this off. They actually solve this massive billion-dollar pricing problem. What happens next? Well, the answer creates this powerful ripple effect across the entire industry. I mean, once you solve pricing, everything changes. You can finally create institutional-grade markets. You get far better, more reliable lending systems. Trading property becomes more efficient and transparent. And way down the line, you open the door to wild stuff like DeFi-style lending against your tokenized home. And what's crazy is you don't need perfection. Even a tiny 1 or 2% improvement in accuracy unlocks a whole new world of financial possibilities. Okay, but let's be real, with any technology this big, this ambitious, we absolutely have to talk about the flip side, the risks, the things that could go wrong. And you gotta go into this with your eyes wide open. First off, this is very early stage technology. That means it's gonna be volatile. Second, let's be honest, this stuff is complicated and that can be a real hurdle for adoption. And maybe the biggest risk of all, the centralized AI giants are not just gonna sit back and watch this happen. So yeah, this is a classic high-risk, high-reward bet on a brand new way of doing things. But that's also where the opportunity is, isn't it? This quote sums it up perfectly. The truly massive wins often come from seeing how new infrastructure connects to real, tangible value before the rest of the world catches on. It's about betting on the future that's being built today.
So I'll leave you with this question. After everything we've looked at, do you think Bittensor is just overhyped, or is it still massively undervalued for the future it's trying to build? If you enjoyed this, subscribe to AI in 8 minutes and never miss what matters.